And good morning, David the AM, aka the Cornbread Man morning show. A little earlier, I've got to be at work earlier today, so I was actually trying to be on work on live even earlier. That didn't work, but I did get here a few minutes early, and we'll go as long as we can. And having some employee functions today, and looking forward to being there for that. I got to stop and pick up biscuits, so I got to make sure that I'm ready to go. But good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. I'm so excited about the show last night. It was just sometimes you just everything just flies together, and it had Three Ravens Publishing was one of the first, wasn't the first, but it was one of the first guests that we had on. I mean, we had a handful, not many, and I so appreciate him coming on, and should have had him on before now, really. I just know he's busy, and I don't want to take away from his time, but uh, I love the idea. Love the idea of this Halloween release party for the book, and see if we can combine two worlds here and help each other out. It just introduces us to a whole new section of folks, and it hopefully introduces them to a whole lot of folks as well, and many who will buy books. Don't forget, if you watched the show last night, how to get your free audio book that'll introduce you to the series, and that was great. I didn't expect that. I didn't know he was going to do that. It's not for him to do that. It's good marketing, great marketing, really. And we talked afterwards, and we're talking about having lunch soon because we're in the area, and I'm going to hook up with some lunch and see if we just can't, mutually just build that relationship, friendship in a business way at least, and see what ways we can help because they're fun. They're fun people. They're just right down to the ground who they are, and they're local. And I'm big on small business and big on folks like especially veterans and uh, you know. But it's a great series. I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. The ones I've read, and every time he talks about a new series, I get the same, like, wow, I got to read that. So I was thinking, I said, I've got to get on there this evening and go ahead and purchase another one. But they're reasonable. You can get them in all kinds of forms, but uh, just help a brother out, and you'll get great entertainment as you go along. So a lot of people Kindle today, and I get that. I do it as well. I mean, you can put 1,500 books on your phone and whatever, but or you have the Kindle itself. My sister's in it. I like both. I like the Kindle because it's on the go. You don't have to carry books. But at home, I like to read books and I like to pick up books. So I'm kind of person. And we talked about audio last night just as a follow up, and I've done it. I may have tried again. It's hard for me. He says I have a hard time reading because ADHD, dyslexia. He has to go back and read a part. I'm that way with audio. Something will distract me, and I feel like I've missed something, and I rewind the audio. But I need to give it another try. This is the absolute great. Hey, good morning, Minnesota. Hope all is well with you too. God bless you this morning, and we appreciate you stopping in. I know you're busy. You get around and different shows and Killer Carl. Saw you over at James's Empty Pockets podcast last night. And again, hope all is well with you. Always love that name, Minnesota Patriot 76. I'm into names, I'm one of those people, it's like band names. How do you come up with a band name? And they throw, hundreds of names on the wall. And the band, it'll be something somebody says they see. It's kind of like we were talking about last night, inspiration. You'll see something, you'll go, oh, man, there it is right there. All the names that I've came up with I didn't come up with the names, by the way. I didn't. I mean, what the things I use on stage here, like Dave in the AM. When we first started our morning shows, we didn't have a morning show in the beginning. It was all nighttime shows. Occasionally, we would record in the early afternoon if we had an interview. I took off work before and came home, did an interview, and went back to work. Early days, we did a lot of recording anyway. We weren't live. We couldn't go live. I mean, we were so new, we couldn't get live. I remember the first time we went live, it was like, wow, we get to go live. But I said, let's start a morning show. And Rob was like, I'm not a morning person. I don't know. And so we kind of settled on the idea of 3 that we do together. And then most of the times I'm doing a fill in on the Tuesday, Thursday. But we said, well, let's try it. We'll try one, see how it goes. Well, now we couldn't think about our podcast without it. And so, like the first day I'm going in I think it was the first day of new live. I'm going in, okay, what am I going to say? And I just put Dave in the AM because you haven't seen me in the AM. And I just used it a bunch. So every day I go in there, I left it Dave in the AM. It kind of stuck, Dave in the AM. That's kind of sounded like a radio handle or something, I kind of like it and stuck around. And so I still have that, and I use it Dave in the AM. Most of the time you'll see that on the screen. The Cornbread Man, because we are the Cornbread Nation as well. And we have the Cornbread Nation show and all kinds of, logos and stuff off of that. And it's part of our business name, Southern Fried Cornbread Nation. I was going on the Angry Conservatives podcast for his interview series. He contacts me and says, hey, I want you to know I've got the advertisement up. I hope you like it. Are you okay with that? I looked at it. He said, I called you the Cornbread Man. I said, oh, it's cool, man. I like it. And so we had fun with that. And I still put it on the screen. I don't have it on today. I put it on behind me. That logo he made up. And man, did that stick. I just liked it. It kind of rolled off the tongue, the Cornbread Man. And I came up with the superhero kind of graphic behind it. It was on there when, if you saw it before I popped on the screen, and it just kind of stuck. But what my point in all that is things just kind of happen. That's inspiration. And I don't know. I struggle sometimes in how to put a name together. I'm not, because I like a lot of different stuff. And so when you're talking about Patriot, we have Patriot. I mean, Thursdays is my Patriot morning show. And I actually, the official name is the Southern Fried Patriot Morning Show, and I just shrink it down to Patriot Morning Show. But I love America and love my country and the values of it. And of course, 76 is a significant number, and I like that. And of course, where you're from. But I like that. Every time we're in the podcast and somebody's name pops up, that I go, oh, I like that name. I'll pop it on the screen and I'll tell them. Because I don't know, I look for that kind of thing. I just think it's cool. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes they're bad. Sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to. Some names will go, cool name, bro, but can't put that on the screen. That's just not going to fit our model. And we're not judging anybody. We try to stay within some boundaries here. And because we do have, it was decided early on we would be somewhat family friendly. I mean, we don't, get ill with people for saying a word here and there, but we try to keep it, within a model. And that's nothing against anybody else's model. But we do have teenagers that watch our show, my grandkids and stuff, and we just decided that. But it's cool to see those things, and sometimes I'll chuckle like, what a name. And then like, there's got to be a story behind it. I'm always thinking there's got to be a story behind the name, and how did they get that name? It's like people's names. I've met people. I met a girl once. She come to work. And I was the supervisor on the shift. She came to work there for a while. Her name was Amity, and I love the name Amity. And I'm like, she goes, I hate my name. And I said, why? She goes, the movie. I said, Amity, what? Oh, the Amityville Horror Show. Oh, yeah, my mom loved that. She named me that. I said, well, it's a pretty name. I said, just grasp on that it's a pretty name. And but she hated her name. I was like, I think it's pretty cool. But I have met people. I'm thinking, God, do they not like you? Why did they give you a name like that? I mean, sometimes parents are sort of living through their kids what they wanted to be and what they didn't get to be, and so they name their kids weird stuff. And the kid grows up and they change it, or they go by something else. One of my granddaughters, and I love the name. It took me a long time to kind of get used to one of her names. I like it. It just took me a while to get used to it. But she says I don't like it. She loves her middle name, and so sometimes I'll just call her by her middle name. And it's pretty cool. A few birthdays today. Chris Pine is 45. He's been around for a bit. Still just 45 years old. Great basketball player, James Harden. Some would call him a ball hawk. God, it seems like he should be a lot older than this. It just seems like he's been around forever. 36 years old today. That's pretty cool. Melissa McCarthy, 55. Yeah, jumping on up there. Macaulay Culkin, 45. He started so young. He feels like he ought to be a lot older too. To be honest, it makes me feel old for sure. Mother Teresa was born on this day back in 1910. Uh, let's see, John Mulaney, comedian, 42. I've heard of him. And let's see, that's actually, let's see. Yeah, it kind of breaks it down into my profession. I was looking to see if I missed somebody. I think that's the last one I want to cover. But if it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. Sometimes on Facebook, I'll get those notifications. Hey, so and so's birthday is today. And I always try to go in and say a happy birthday and send it. And when I do that, um, I'll always see something that I missed. I'm like, how did I miss the notification on that? And so I don't care if it's a day, 2 week later. I'm still going to tell them. I get a lot of thank yous for that. Like, I really appreciate that. And so if it is your birthday, all right, you made it another round around the sun, and you're still here. That's something to celebrate. Some people say I hate birthdays. Well, celebrate life. I get it. When my grandkids, let's see, the oldest one is 17, and they go all the way down to like 3. And of course, when you're a teenager, in fact, my granddaughter that lives with me, we had her birthday party in July, recently. And so I was asking them, I kept my granddaughter said, you gave a speech. I said, that was by design, and I didn't want you to ever forget your 13th birthday. And I was having fun. I try to be funny. Of course, to them, I'm probably totally square. But I got them involved. And I had these teenagers all the way from girls, mostly. It was one guy, one man, all the way from 10 to, I think 15. And I was talking about all those milestones that they haven't got to yet. Of course, 15, your learner's permit. 16, you get to drive. I mean, that's a big deal. People look at 16, wow, I get to drive. And of course, 18, even though they think they want it, sometimes they regret it. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions. I can move out. I can, okay, yeah, you can do all that. 21, for obvious reasons. And then after that, it's kind of like they feel like they're dying. I remember nobody wants to hit the 30, when you're in your 20s. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in a grave next year. I'll be 30. And so you have this you're leaving your 20s to never return. And it's like, wow. I remember that thinking, wow, I'm going to be 30. By then I was married, 2 kids, and I'm like 30. Wow, here I was, athletic, played sports all the time, still maturing. I'm still maturing. Just a lot more mature today than then, and I was like, I'm going to be 30. Wow, and then you're just dying through extra 30. But then you think 30 is better than 40. Wow, what the heck? And so by the mid 30s, you're reading about baseball players, football players that are retiring because they're too old. You're thinking, oh my gosh, like, am I old now? But I feel good because that's really a peak time. It really is. Men really are great, doing great in their 30s usually, and balancing all these things. They say the peak for athletes 27, but today athletes are really going in some sports into their 40s, but it's changed a little bit. Some positions, some things. Then you're going towards the golden years. You get to 50, and that was I don't know why that. None of the others really bothered me. 50 was kind of weird, but right before I turned 50, we started raising our granddaughter, and that was kind of a weird, odd time. Like 50, wow. It really made me stop and think, not in a sad way, just what have I accomplished? What things I haven't done. Is time's running out. It really takes you, you take stock. How soon can I get a senior discount? I got some at 50. I didn't ask for them. They said, you want a senior discount? I'm like, do I look old enough? They're like, we're giving it to you. I'm like, man, am I falling apart? So I just turned 60. And it's funny to look back. It's what made me think about, I've turned 60 before she turned 13. I was thinking back through all those stages. And honestly, 60, I was thinking, how are you supposed to feel? I felt really appreciative. Like, wow, I made it. The only thing that I think about is that starting the podcast and starting the career that we have. And I've done podcasts before. This is a total different level. It's going to a different level. We're in for the long haul. We're going nowhere. As long as there's breath in my lungs, this is something we're going to be building and growing, hopefully for a long time. And so then I started thinking, wow, my dad died at 60 something. Like, okay, just praying. Man, I hope I have this really good, healthy, long life, and so that I can be there for my granddaughter, my family, and enjoy this process where I'm at. It's like, man, I wish I started 10 years ago, but it's just timing, and it's just the way it is. And so, no matter what your age is today, enjoy it. And we tend to look forward or backwards. We're really never looking at right where we're at. It's always forward or backwards. And the older you get, the more you look back, and we start talking. I catch myself doing it all the time. I'm thinking, God, do I sound like that? Because we say, I remember, but that's not a bad thing. It's not a curse. I remember. I remember. There's some things I remember, and they're cool. Now, to young people, it sounds like, oh, yeah, you walked 10 miles one way to the one-room schoolhouse in the snow. I mean, we always say that. Well, my dad actually did. So I never did it. And I always tell people, no, I don't have stories like that. I rode a school bus. Or my family didn't pick me up and drop me off. They said, get on the school bus. I never had that. And we've done it for our granddaughter. And really the reason is I didn't want her. She rode the school bus some because she wanted to. The reason I didn't want her to do it was not because of us thinking we're too good for her, is the violence. We talked about this I talked about with another granddaughter, because I said, how do you get home? I take her to school most days. And I said, how do you get home? The bus? She said, yeah. I said, oh. I said, well, that kind of stinks. I said, the buses it could be rough. She goes, yeah, they are. I said, well, any day that you would like for me to pick you up, if I get off work early, I don't mind doing it. And she said, I said, I'll have to be on the list. She goes, oh, you're already on there. I said, okay, I'll do that. But to celebrate, kind of where you're at, and thinking, I've made it this far. I hope I have a lot longer. I have friends that, have died. I have people I went to church with, people I pastored. They passed, and it's surreal. It's like, I'm still here. I was reading this morning. I mean, the last tour of the Who, Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, 80. I think Pete's 80 or Daltrey won. I think they're both 80 or 81. And some people said it sounds rough. Actually, when I listened, it wasn't bad. I mean, for 80, but apparently they don't really. I wouldn't call it hate. They don't talk. They're two different kinds of people. They don't really get along, I don't think, that much. So it's like after the tour, Pete said, I don't know if I'll hear from Roger ever again. I hope not. But thinking at 80, I hope y'all don't hold on, go some sort of not talking to each other. You may not have long to celebrate that. Maybe you do. You just don't know. And that's the unknown. Every day is a gift, and every day is a blessing. And it's what do I do with this? I can't accomplish everything I'd love to accomplish in one day. I've got several things. I call them plate spinning. I remember watching. I was always fascinated by those people who come on those talk shows. They would spin the plates. As a kid, that just fascinated me. And I always think of my life in those terms. How many plates do I have spinning? And is there a couple that's fallen to the floor? And which ones are going to fix to fall to the floor? Which one do I need to get going again? I don't know. It's just the way my brain works. And certainly with, I've got career, I've got, husband, grandfather, dad. I have two sons. I have the podcast. I have church. I have many, many things that I have my hands in. I'm like Hillbilly was last night. All these ideas floating through your head. Stuff that we haven't. I've got two shows that haven't even gotten off the ground yet that I'm so excited about. It's on my mind. I woke up went to bed with one of them on my mind, woke up with it on my mind. I've got to get it moving here the next week. And it's just so many things going on. A test that I'm taking for a licensing, and I'm trying to study for that and deep into it. But I've got a lot more to go, and thinking I got to get this done over this holiday weekend. And just spinning plates, spinning plates. But it's not a bad thought. It's a good thought. It's like, I got all this stuff going on. That's cool. They always say, whoever they are. There's a lot of theys, but if you're able to find the thing that you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. There is a lot of truth in that. It's a lot of work. I looked at Hillbilly last night. That's a busy man. He's got a lot going on. You can see in his face how hard he's worked. I mean, 5 years, just poured himself into it, needed somewhat of a break from certain things, trying to find life balance. And his words were, I try. I can see that in his face. But all these passions and how it's not work, but it is work. Because it takes time, and it takes, keeping things moving. And he don't sit still. He's got things going. Plus all these other projects, car, motorcycles, blacksmithing, whatever it is. This man's busy, but he's loving what he's doing. And what an extremely smart gentleman too. This guy, I'm sitting here thinking, he does his own editing. He's highly intelligent, obviously. And he just very quick-minded and witted, and I respect all that. But here he is, and he's just poured himself into his passions, and great things are happening. And that's freaking cool. I just find that absolutely cool. And some people, they look at your success, and somebody may listen to this, and you've been a tremendous success. And there's always those people that are jealous, which is dumb. It's really dumb. Why would you be jealous of somebody's success? And everybody looks at somebody successful. I'd say most everybody. I won't say everybody. And they wonder, how did they get into that? And a lot of times people will think, somebody put it in their lap. They had rich family. They had more than I had. I couldn't do something like that. I don't have the breaks they had. They're lucky. I'm not. Now you create your opportunities. Certainly, and we'll use that example, President Trump. Like him or hate him, and I like him. I like everything about him. I wouldn't say that. I don't like everything about anybody, including myself. But I love what he's doing. I think he's doing a fantastic job. I was watching one of his executive order yesterday, and things are trying to correct, things make right. It makes you feel good as an American. But anyway, it's not the point. The point is they're business people. And they built a family that is predicated on being successful. His sons, daughter, grandchildren, they're highly accomplished people. They have a lot of amazing talent. They work their butts off. I mean, President Trump works his butt off. He's constantly doing something. He doesn't lay about. He gets things done. His sons are expected to do the same things. Yeah, you could say, well, their dad was a billionaire, okay, but they didn't sit around. They work. They just not up there. They're not Richie Rich, just up there. Dad's giving. They're writing checks and go around playing the clubs every day. They're working. They're accomplished. They're making things happen. Did they get a break because their dad was that? Sure. What do you do with it? Like what? And people think that, and most people don't have a billionaire dad or granddad or whatever. Not even a millionaire. What they may have is somebody that inspired them because they worked their tail off, and that work ethic, and a mom or a dad or a grandpa or whoever it was, that somebody you saw that sparkle in their eye, and they tapped into that thing that you really like, which is your dream. What do you want to do? Like, what is your dream? And I always tell people, follow your dreams. Got to make a living, but follow your dreams, and don't let anybody tell you you can't. If you have toxic people like that, either find a way to not listen to them or get them out of your life, because those people will steal your dreams. They will crash you down, and they will enjoy doing it. They will find a way to wreck your dreams. And it's sad to think there are people in your world that's like that. They hate your success. They're jealous of what you've done. They think you've got it made. They didn't get the breaks. They're mad about it. Things didn't go their way. And they sit back and they just poke at everybody. They judge you. They hate your guts, honestly, from inside. They might be acting like they're your friend. They hate your guts. And we get hate on here sometimes. That's fine. I don't understand. I get people just like to argue, but if somebody doesn't like what we do, don't stay. Why stay? Why give up your precious life? And I'm on the flip side of that. I'm extremely appreciative. It really touches me that people give me their time. Time is money. Time is value. Time is. There's no way. There's no way to get time back. Once it's gone, it's gone. How you spent that time is important. And the fact that you come and you listen and you tap in and we have friendship. We may never even know who you are. I have people all the time that say, "Hey, I love your show. Watch it." I just don't say nothing. Thank you. I mean, you've given me your time. Obviously, you're getting something out of it. And that if it's one person, well, when we started, we always said, we all dream, like, wow, it'd be great to have, a few thousand people, checked in. We have a lot of followers, but there's times we have hit above 100 in a show a few times. Now, some people hit in the thousands. I'm not driven by that. And I've never tried to be an analytics guy or market or anything. Early on, we had all these discussions about this is better, that's better. If you want to be successful, I said, I don't care about none of that. I said, I do this because I enjoy it. If I've got to think about every little thing I do and make it into a marketing pitch, I'm out. I don't mind. Certainly you want to grow and certainly look for things that people like and topics and sure, but it's because I like it too. I don't look for things. I've never in the history of this podcast have I ever looked for a guest because I thought, hey, that would get me more viewers. Never happened. In fact, one of our longtime friends who's been on our show many, many times, the first time I called him or contacted him, I wanted him on the show. I stumbled across his own program. He was doing videos then. And I said, oh, I like the videos. I'd like to, this guy's interesting. I have an interest here. I'd like to talk to this guy. And the first time we talked, we were trying to arrange when he could come on. And he says, well, tell me what time slot you need to fill, and I'll see if it works on my schedule. And I said, whoa. I don't work like that. Like I'm not trying to, because to me it felt like and I don't know that he even meant it that way, but to me what it felt like was he was thinking I was just out here hitting on any program I could see, trying to get people on the air. So I could say I put this person on the air. And I said, no, man, that's not what this is. I don't have time slots. We don't have a schedule that has everything booked up for the next year and a half. What we do have is we find people that come across our path and we want them to tell their story. We think it's interesting. We just want to hear the story. And we would love for you to come on. It's like, oh, awesome. And to this day, we're friends, and he's actually a part of our show. And that's the Have Fun Forge on Rumble. Steve's a great guy. I love him. I don't know if he's listening today. I just wanted to know. I tell people, listen, and people do this all the time. I get it because they hear it all the time. They will say, like, well, are you just trying, what spot? I need to know what you got. I'm like, I will give you any slot that I can physically make it happen. What do you need? We don't try to make people force them into a spot. We just say, this is where we usually have shows. We can build a show at any time and make it live, or we can record you if you prefer that. We just would like to interview you. We'd like to have you on the show. And I think that comes across. So we're not, we get excited and we ask a lot of things because we're trying to drive the engagement. But we try to just let them go. We only really interject when they're kind of in between thoughts. Because I always tell them, it's your story. I can't tell your story. And the more we meet people, the more we learn about their story. And at that time, we might interject something just for the sake of helping to share their story. But I'm really at that point not even concerned about my story. I want to hear their story, and that's why last night was so enjoyable. We learned I learned things I didn't know about Three Ravens Publishing and about Scott or Hillbilly. I love that we could have a nickname, Hillbilly. Love the name. And the more he talks, the more I capture part of his story and who he is. And I look forward to a long-term friendship between businesses as how can we help each other, and it's just friendship in general. So that's saying a lot. It's a lot, but I think that's important. You work your tail off and you try to build something. Haters are going to come along. Forget them. They're always going to be there. That's just the devil's crowd coming up. And whatever, if they hate you, they hate you. And I don't let that bother me. I don't want people coming around attacking guests or anything. So we try to stay away from that. And we let other people, we stay in our lane. We know our lane. And sometimes we'll jump into other people's shows. They ask us to come on. It's a great honor. And their lane may be a little different than ours, but that also is an experience, which I appreciate. But we don't try to get in their lane. I'm working out and again, as an idea I've had for a while. It was kind of sparked by another podcaster, but I would never try to go towards their guests. That's a unless it's somebody that needs to be on a lot of platforms. I won't do it. I wouldn't go to another person's podcast and say, "Oh, I'm going to get that person on," uh, unless they were asking for people to do that. Like, hey, we really need to get the message out. Then at that point, I would feel like, okay, but I don't go and like contact them and say, "Ooh, I want you on our show now." I won't do it. To me, that's just a code or something. Just don't do. So I've been wanting a similar type person to come on, not because to be like them, because it's a great topic. And I've been sitting on it for weeks now, a few months actually, about 3 months, 4 months. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and then we had a business meeting, and he mentioned something, and I went, "Hey, I didn't know you had a connection to that. Total different area of the country, total." And would you mind asking, would they be interested in coming on? And they're absolutely excited about it. We just got to get wind. And I said, I'd like to be on a reoccurring basis, if that's monthly or quarterly or whatever, because I think it's a great topic, especially in our time. And we're working out the details. But I didn't go, I never went looking for them. They came to me. He started telling me about this person. I went, "Oh, you have a connection. And tell me about that." And it's the way it always is. Now, sometimes you'll just, we'll go to a festival and we'll run into people, and it's like the, the bells go off. Get this person's information. We need to further explore this. And sometimes it's just people that say, "Hey, would you would be willing to have us up?" But again, that's people coming to us. We never go looking for it. So I used to have a friend. He's deceased now, and I loved him to death. But he was always going, "Well, what you need to do." That was his favorite topic. And I'll take wisdom or information I can learn from anybody. I try to be coachable and all those things. But uh, sometimes one time I turned it around. And I said, "Well, maybe you need to do that." You always tell people what they need to do. What do you need to do? And so, but I'll learn from anybody. And I was one of the things that last night as well, Hillbilly was talking about one of his books, what he learned from the first book to the next book. And you definitely get that when you start anything. You learn what works, you learn what doesn't work, you learn how to make something better. There's sometimes you're like, "Oh, just got to get through this show. It's not the best. We're making do. The audio's not there. This ain't working." It's frustrating. That's all part of the process. And everybody who creates or does, they all go through it. I remember the great Eddie Van Halen. This is how the artist thinks. And they did their live album with Sammy. Oh, that was back around, I want to say 95 that was released or something like that. I really enjoyed it. It was like double album CD. I'm sure it's out on album now. Uh, and I really liked it. And like a lot of albums, they take live from different shows. They try to get the best and the best and the best. Now sometimes it's at one place, but a lot of times they do that. They'll take different shows and it's just a better recording. So they'll do three, you know, it's expensive, so they don't do a ton of them. But they'll pick out three locations I think have great acoustics, a great crowd, and they'll do a live. But there's a guitar solo in there from Eddie, and I really liked it. I liked the whole show. I think, man, there's times that they overproduced it. I think a little bit for the. It's still live, but it's a little bit overproduced. But it's really good. But this one part I like, and Eddie played. But I read an interview with that Eddie had done, and I didn't realize he was mad the whole show. Just mad. They had a lot of problems hooking up his equipment in one of those shows, and the way they had to run his equipment really ticked him off for that one show. And he just felt like he could not get his tone. You know, that's the artist. To me, it sounds great. To him, it's like, this is horrible. So whenever I listen to that, it's hard for me not to think about that, you know. But not in a bad way. It's like I hated that he felt that way, but I understand where he's coming from. Uh, and sometimes people say, "Hey, really enjoyed that. It's great." You're like, "Yeah, but we missed so much. I messed up here. I messed up there. We're kind of kicking ourselves, you know. We mess up something." But that's the human factor, and that's the way I would think about Eddie's thing. I appreciate that was driven to be that good. That's what made him great. And at the end of the day, even though maybe he could never listen to it and be totally, well, it's like Eruption. You know, he says he blowed that. He never at recording. He was never pleased with that. He said I blew it. And he said nobody knows it. He said, but I know it. But they did it like one take or something. I mean, like it was done. And he's like, always ticked me off. I missed one. There was a note in there, something he missed, and he's like, you know, always said I could have done better. I could have done better. So that's what we try. Well, that's a lot of talk this morning. Appreciate anybody that stopped by. I do have to go because I got a couple things to do. I got to get to work. If you're listening and you're from work, if you're coming to my meeting, we'll have a biscuit for you. If not, I believe we're going to have the racing show tonight. Maybe a sports show. I've got to look, see what's on the calendar, the docket for tonight. I think that's the case. And then we'll be back to our regular program in the morning and update views and the event. Hey, it's one more week. Steve will be back with us. First of the week on Wednesday. Steve from Half Pine Forest is always with us. And I appreciate him coming on. And y'all give him a follow. Thank you, Minnesota, for coming in. Anybody else? I could stay another hour. I can't. I got to go. Thank you for the time. Thank you for supporting the Southern Fried podcast. And we're working hard every day, trying to make things better. We know. I see where things we've got to do. We're working on it every day, trying to get there. And ideas are floating around, and we're trying. I promise you. Take care. God bless. But we'll never try for perfection. We like the warts and the cuts and the scars because that shows that we're real. Y'all take care. Have a great day. I really do got to go. And we'll see you soon.